Introduced with Metrics version 2011.1 is an optional module called Automation Lite. I'm going to quickly demonstrate two very different uses of this module for customers in two very different situations. Let's first consider a customer who has an MIS system or a web portal or some system which is capable of producing Metrics XML data. And I've got a folder with some files in it here to simulate that front-end system, taking those files and sending it to the Metrics hot folder. Let's look at what Metrics did, and it imported, looks like a list of items. We've got a gang project to do here. Now there's no layouts here. The front-end system would never know how many layouts this needs to be produced on. That's now the objective and responsibility of the Metrics operator, to hit Auto Plan, choose some options, and probably in the case of this project wait quite a while, maybe 10, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. When it's done, Metrics will produce a few layouts, and I really should then run a subsequent auto production on each of those and wait 1 or 2 or 3 minutes for each of them, then run a subsequent auto layout, then go through, make sure everything's okay, add some marks to it, and then ultimately export all of this to the correct place. That whole process is going to take, for a project like this, probably a minimum of 10 minutes, probably a maximum of half an hour. It's what customers have been doing with Metrics for a long time now. They're loving it, but it requires an operator to be there, an operator to sit and wait a whole lot, and an operator to be very careful and diligent to do the right things in the right sequence. But it can be done. Let's close this one and look at the next project that's coming in. We see a book. Now this one's on the opposite end of the scale. A book was described to Metrics, and it automatically found standards in the database, and so you could argue it's done, it's completed, it's finished, ready to go. I don't think so though. Realistically, I should, if I'm being diligent, run an auto plan on it to see if maybe there's a better way to have this broken apart than the way it came in. And then I really should run an auto production to see if I can optimize those layouts further. I would need to potentially add marks to it if a standard wasn't found. And again, I'd have to export it. And the biggest thing is I need to be here to do all that. Nevertheless, we close that one, picks up the last one. Obviously running an auto plan would be a bit pointless. I could, but I should run auto production, auto layout, add the marks, export it. You get the picture. We do this today in Metrics all the time, and it's great, but if you think about it, there's a lot of steps here that are very repetitive and honestly don't really need an operator to do them. That's what Automation Lite is all about. Let me close this. And what I'm going to do is go into the File menu and convert this Metrics license to be an automation license. So on some machine, it probably wouldn't be your user's desktop. This is probably on the Metrics server or a machine dedicated to these tasks. I'm going to convert, as you saw me do here, one or more than one of my Metrics licenses to be running in an automated or unattended mode. Essentially, it's a hot folder, but it's a hot folder with scripts attached to it, or with a script attached to it. I'm going to navigate out to my script. We call this a Metrics commands file. And it tells me exactly what's going to happen when something arrives in this hot folder. We're going to add bleeds to it, do an auto plan, do an auto production on every one of the resulting layouts, do an auto layout, look for standards, add marks, etc. There's a whole series of things that you can customize, determine which ones, which sequence, and variables for them. When it's all done, it's going to automatically export JDF or imposed PDF and then email me if it was successful or not. An incredible set of events that are going to happen completely unattended. Let's go ahead and start this, and I'm going to hide this. And I'm going to take these same files but put them in the hot folder being watched by Automation Lite, which is over here. So that front-end system is going to send to Metrics a 6-panel brochure. And then it's going to send over a book. And then last of all, let's say it's going to send that gang project. What is Metrics doing? Automation Lite is chewing through that first file. It's already gotten to the point where it's exporting it. And it is complete. And then it immediately picks up the next project and starts working on that. Let's hide this and take a look at the results. Now I'm not going to show you the JDF files arriving in a workflow, but what I will show you is diagrams that are produced, if you will, the proof of what it did. So it took that first brochure, Looks like it decided to run it on a 2840 sheet. Due to the split here, I'm going to say that's running as a work and turn. It added marks to it, obviously went through all the validation steps, and this is what would have arrived in pre-press for plates to be made from. It's fantastic. And as soon as it finishes the next project and the next, etc., we'd see those diagrams getting produced. Let's go and see which project it's working on now. And it looks like it's working on the gang project, and it's chewing on an auto production. And as you can see, this is going to take quite a long time. I'm going to pause the movie here and pick it back up once it's done this gang project. Alright, it's done, and in fact, before I noticed, it even finished the 56-page book as well. And that took, I don't know, 10 or 12 minutes. Let's go ahead and hide that, and we can see the results here. We can see the book. It produced all these fantastic layouts for us. And we can see the gang project did likewise produce these great gang layouts. Looks like it decided to run them as a perfecting series. Alright, so that's Automation Lite from one perspective. If you've got a source that can produce MXML files, you can set up Automation Lite running as one instance, as I've done here, with a particular commands file. You could run multiple instances. I could convert another metrics license to also be running Automation Lite with a different commands file. Or maybe the same commands file twice, and you can do some load balancing with it. The point is, though, that all of this can happen in a completely unattended fashion. MXML coming in, processing occurring, files arriving as JDF or PDF, etc. in pre-press and post-press. If a project fails, you're going to get an email notification, and a log file will be sent with it telling you exactly why it failed. You could then go back to the metrics client, open the project up, edit it, and then resubmit it or send it to pre-press yourself. Alright, that's option A. Option B is for all of the rest of us, because honestly, only about 20% of our customers probably have the capability to generate or receive MXML files. For the rest of us, Automation Lite is still an incredible option, and I'll show you why I say that. I'm going to have Automation Lite running here. Let's just clear the log. It's running, it's sitting, it's waiting. I'm going to launch another copy of metrics. Oops. And let's, for the sake of argument, say that Automation Lite is running on a machine in another room, maybe on a PC. Here I am on my Mac running metrics. I've got another license launched because I've got a multi-user license available to me here. So I've got metrics running here, and I want to create a project. So I come in, and because I don't have MXML, I've really only got two ways of creating a project: manually or by importing a CSV file. I'm going to create a project and make some tickets. So I'm describing to metrics just the very basics of what metrics needs to have a project initiated. Let's do, say, 3.5 by 6.5. Some of these items I'll skip through fairly quickly. Now, I've described all I really need to about this project. I could go on and answer questions about the layouts, but honestly, I don't want to have to think that through. I'm going to get metrics to do that for me. So I'm going to finish here, having described the bare minimum of this product. Basically, it's size, grain direction, quantity, just the very, very basics of it. At this point, I don't want to hit auto plan, and then auto production, and then auto layout, and then add marks, and make sure it's okay, and then export it. What I do instead is click the Automate button. Automate looks across the network and sees which automation lights are running and broadcasting what we call an automation workflow. I can see it right here. I select it. It could be multiples running, but there is only one. And I click the Save, Close, and Send, and it will do exactly that. It will save the project in the database, close it, so I can get on to some other work, and send that to Automation Lite in the background for processing. I click it, and I'm on to the next metrics project. What's happening in the background is metrics processing that with Automation Lite. And it's done. It's exporting everything just that quick. Let's go back to metrics. Let's say I'm going to describe a bound project. So I put a job number in, product, it's a catalog. Let's bound, text plus cover, and quantity, say 1200. And I'll stitch it. Don't care about the grain. Pick some stock for it. Number of pages, 92. Jog trim, that's all fine. I'm going to leave defaults for most of this here. And again, I'm going to hit finish now. I've described the project as fully as I want to. Maybe the one thing I'm going to do is push the 4-pager behind the 8-pager. Maybe that's my one thing that I'm going to change. At this point, I don't want to think about it anymore and wonder if I should run the 8 and the 4 together or separately or work in turn or whatever. I'll just hit automate, choose my queue or my automation workflow, and it's gone. Look back at automation light on the other machine, and now it's charging through that bound project. And in fact, it's done already, and it's exporting it. If I go back into the Finder here, I can look at my diagrams, and if I scroll down, you can see that bound project is arriving as I'm scrolling. Here was that ticket. Decided to run that one work and turn on a 2840, added all the marks. It's fantastic. And then I can look at the bound project as well, that 92-pager, and it did a great job of that. Now, the question is, can you do all of your work with this? Probably not. Realistically, you'll come into metrics as you're creating a project and decide, is this project just simply too weird or unusual or have too many constraints for the automation workflow to take care of it? Great, then you'll just use metrics as you have in the past, build the project, go through the steps yourself. But really, when you think about it, there's a good number of projects that the operator is simply just clicking through things and waiting. Going on to the next step, waiting, next step, etc. If we can offload most of that work for many of our projects, suddenly this becomes an incredible automation option. So I want you to think of it from those two very different perspectives. And so obviously for some people, they have no MXML capability. That side of it is irrelevant to them. But this side here, being able to use the automation workflows, is incredible. For other people, you've got MXML files coming in, and the Automation Lite workflow is also a very viable and exciting option.